The show is about to start. Thank you for your cooperation. Enjoy the show, and please come back and visit us again.
Everybody, welcome to the 9 Years podcast. Nick Draper here with Stuart Deakins as always. Some of you may have noticed as you have downloaded this week's episode, and we thank you for doing so. It's the 160th episode, and as I said that, Stu, there was some weird... Did you hear that? There was like some weird intake of breath. It sounded like a pig, like Peppa Pig. It was very odd. I don't know what that was. But 160. 160. It's kind of like an anniversary, but it's not really, if that makes sense. It's just a round number of sorts.
It is. It feels like, milestones, I suppose, like, when you get so many caps for England and stuff, you sort of get your 50th cap, and then you're like, oh, can I get into three figures? Now we're in I don't know, we're basically the most capped England international. I don't know where that went. Anyway, it's because I was watching England football. I was watching England play in the Soccer Sixes this week, and it's just brought back that international film.
I was watching some of the highlights of that in the Love Sports studio on Sunday evening. So random seeing some of the names that were playing in that, but yes, didn't we beat like a rest of the world 11 with like Mendieta and who else is playing?
Yeah,
some big names.
If you get a chance on YouTube, this is where the funniest thing is. Michael Owen and Jason McAteer have the best bust up ever. Michael Owen kicks out McAteer, then McAteer kicks back. McAteer gets sent off. Michael Owen only gets a yellow card. England score a winner against Ireland, and McAteer can tell that he's still got the because he basically says the only reason Michael Owen didn't get sent off is because he plays for England. I was like, oh, this is great. They've not lost that bitterness one bit.
Definitely not. The competitiveness they have not lost. When you were looking at the highlights and David James and the way he was going about and yelling and screaming, oh yeah, they love it. They absolutely love it. It must be hard when you stop playing though. You must miss that competitive edge. But hey, tell you who's not missing that competitive edge right now. It's AFC Wimbledon. Oh, what a segue. We're less than 2 minutes in. Well, probably a bit longer once we put the entry music and stuff. But hey, about 2 minutes in, best segue. It's not going to get better than that. We are into the fourth round of the FA Cup for the first time since 2001. So 18 years. That's quite something. I teach children at younger... Oh, man, it's mad. Anyway, so 3-2 win at Fleetwood. We'll discuss that in depth. We're going to talk about the FA Cup more generally as well, and the way it's been received this weekend and some of the decisions that have been made, including decisions on the field with VAR as well. We'll look ahead to our visit to Coventry on the weekend and all the other usual gubbins, Wally with the trolley and all that. But Stu, we will start with that Fleetwood victory. What a great fight back. Great fight back to win that game. So one of the things a game like that is something we don't experience that, or we haven't experienced that regularly, have we, over the past few years? We've seemed to have got stuck in a little bit of a pattern, haven't we, of score lines. Pretty much you turn up every week and you think it's going to be 0-0, 1-0, 2-0. That's pretty much all our options. 2-1 maybe, if we're lucky. So when you get a game where loads of goals, loads of excitement, a last-minute winner, controversy, I can't say the word, controversy.
That's the word.
I don't even know what I said the first time round. It was just great fun, wasn't it? And that is a word we don't use or haven't used very often on this podcast to discuss about the team. Obviously, the podcast is always fun, of course. But on the field, a lot of fun.
Well, yeah, being 2-0 up in the FA Cup is, it's. I suppose I thought we'd probably go there and probably play a bit conservatively and try and get a draw, get them back. I thought it'd be a draw. I said that from the day the tie was drawn. So, but Fleetwood hadn't seen many goals. Obviously, conceded the 5 goals against Pompey that they were down to 10 men. I think before that they had 3 or 4 clean sheets. So really, we shouldn't have been going there and getting going 2-0 up. But I suppose it's the FA Cup is always. Hey, look, they say the romance of the FA Cup is lost. I think it's any cup competition is always a bit of a get away from the league form. It's a one-off game. And the goals, I suppose that the encouraging thing for us was the goals we scored. You probably could look at all 3, and I think as fans, we probably have all got individual favourites because it's very much a muchness of what you like, really, isn't it? From the Bartram Andy Hartigan and the winner. But yeah, I think I would rather us not go 2-0 up and then, give the lead in and do that. But in the end, it made the win that much more sweeter.
Yeah, I want to talk about the goals in detail in a little bit. I mean, first of all, though, you mentioned it, though. We were 2-0 up. Fleetwood got back into it at 2-2. I sensed it was coming. I'm not going to lie. It's always that risk. The way we set up was to play on the counter-attack. So we defended our 18-yard line. We got men behind the ball. And then it was very simple. When we won the ball back, it was direct down the channels or up to a Kwesi if he was playing more century at the time and trying to, basically catch them on the break. It's risky, though, when we invited pressure. That's what I didn't like. It was a case of, okay, we're 2-0 up with men behind the ball, but we weren't really pressing like I have seen us been doing, certainly in the home games where we've been really getting in opposition faces, putting them under pressure. We weren't doing that. We were saying, you try and break us down. And we're good at it in terms of we keep our shape well, don't we? We don't give away too many chances. We're well drilled. But after a while, when the ball keeps coming back at you and back at you and back at you, eventually you're going to break, aren't you? And that's what happened. Yeah,
and there was always a case when Fleetwood would go for it, whether they would bring subs on or go a bit more direct or, change formation. So there was always a chance. I think, 2-0, because people will laugh when they say 2-0 was a dangerous lead. But it is in a certain sense, because as the team that's winning 2-0, you're sort of thinking, well, we killed the game with 2-0, we won the game, when really probably you could go and kill the game even more by getting the third. And I suppose that was probably one of the things we were probably caught in. But Fleetwood, once they got the first goal, what you really want after a goal is to try and kill the tie in terms of kill the atmosphere. And Fleetwood, at the best of times, is not an intimidating place to go to. Let's be fair, we've been there many times, and Fleetwood, well, as I say, if that was us at home, you could really get a real big sound. Fleetwood, it sort of disappears into the sea. But I suppose with the youngsters that we've got in the team now, I suppose what you really want to do is be knocking the ball long, knock it into channels, taking long times on throw-ins, giving away free kicks to stop the flow. But if you look at the second goal, when obviously the penalty, we all know it was a weak as anything penalty. But probably the worst thing we done was allow Ched Evans to literally get Paul Cannon-Baye out wide. So our fullbacks, for whatever reason, are caught up the pitch. So you sort of want to be solid, but you also just want to do a 5-10 minute spell, level it out, and then go again. But we conceded the second, literally 2 or 3 minutes after they scored their first. Yeah,
I suppose the good thing about it was the character that we showed to come back into the game, to actually start imposing ourselves on the game again, which led to getting the winning goal. You've discussed the quality of the goals. Can I, before we do that, discuss the quality of Kwesi Appiah, who he might be my favourite Wimbledon player ever.
Wow.
That's clearly right. Yeah. Do you know who my favourite Wimbledon player is of all time?
Of all time? Mm-hmm. I don't know. There's so many, isn't there?
It's actually
Robbie Earl, probably.
It's not Robbie Earl. It's actually a tie. Teresil Dangda. No, it's a tie. Jason Newell and Danny Kedwell would be. But Kwesi Appiah at the moment, outstanding. I think I fell in love with the man a little bit on Saturday, purely because of the amount of work he was putting in. And it's a lonely job. Being a lone striker, having to chase and harry and close down and run the channels, and a lot of the time you're basically just there to hold the ball up and wait to bring others in play. It's not a pretty job as a centre forward. The reward, of course, is the fact he plays a part in the first goal, key assist in the second goal, and then scores the third goal. So the glory all comes his way eventually. But he's earned it because of the work he's put in.
Yeah, and Wally Downs alluded to that in the iFollow interview afterwards, when he said he's desperate to try and get a partner for Kwesi Appiah because he's playing out there on his own, and he did say that the injuries at the moment is dictating the formation, so which it sort of says he doesn't want to play that way, but that's what he's got to do to get results. And crikey, the games he's had already, he's already picked up 3 wins. So he's obviously doing something right. But yeah, I think with Kwesi, one of the things that I was always disappointed was I found Kwesi was a bit detached from the midfield, and I sometimes wondered whether he was making the wrong runs or just wasn't, for whatever reason, he just didn't seem to fit. He's not Kwesi hasn't got the burst of pace anymore, so he can't get in behind. But from what I've seen now, it's like all of a sudden we've all as a team, we were a little bit closer together. So our defence and midfield and attackers seem to be playing in a very closer area. So what it means really is that Kwesi's a lot more involved. We're realising there's no point playing a ball in behind. He ain't going to win that. So a lot of Kwesi's good work at the moment is being done probably outside the area towards like the midfield area where he's getting the ball linking up. So it's like in a way we've just found a way of getting the best out of Kwesi, and he's responded. And we were critical of Kwesi before, and it was never, you said it many times before, it was never about his work rate. We never questioned that. My question is did he want it enough? Did he want to go into some challenges? Did he want to go and affect teams? And maybe the answer was that actually we just weren't playing the right formation to suit getting the best out of Kwesi. But at the moment, we've now got a striker who we're going, want more of it. Obviously, we know there's some transfer rumours at the moment that he's got a certain buyout clause, and now we're sort of going, because if we'd known that a month ago, you and I probably would have gone, take the money. Now we're sort of thinking, actually, we've got a player now we've worked hard on who's producing the goods.
You think it's a case as well of him being able to trust his body more and his confidence and a run of games. So it's been quite a good run, arguably one of his best runs for us in terms of just basically playing games and lasting 90 minutes. And with that confidence that he feels like he can go and chase a ball down the channel because something's not going to go, his knee's not going to go, or he can jump or go in for a tackle without injuring himself. Got to help, hasn't it?
It has, but he's affecting games now. So he's getting assists, he's getting goals. He's now, rather than people going, well, what's he doing? The problem with Kwesi is that Neil Hardy set him up straight away. The first thing, saying he's a championship striker. Unfortunately, the expectation, we said about this last season, the expectation was set so high that Kwesi had a real big job to fill that expectation. Whereas now, in a way, I don't know. In a way, with Kwesi now, whatever you can get out of him, you take. But actually, he's been on fire. He's been on flames, as they say.
Do they say that?
Well, I don't. But in Twitter, they put flames, don't they? So he's. I don't know.
So you were actually right in the first instance with he's on fire.
I'm not in with the old kids and the banner. Do you know what I mean? So,
true story.
But now, actually, the fans are like, well, actually, we can see an end product. If he's getting an assist, he's getting a goal. Then great. We always knew Kwesi had that quality of finish in him. It wasn't a surprise that he did what he did, because actually, do you know what? We know he's got ability. That's why Palace took a chance on him. Now it's just a case of getting as much as we can. The thing I feel with Kwesi is that we just, the injury, he's not injury. It's difficult to say someone's injury prone, but you are sort of like always on the edge of your seat thinking, let's just try and get as much out of him as we can before he picks up another knock or something. Which that's the only worry with Kwesi. Can you build a team around Kwesi at the moment? Well,
I think we're expecting another striker in, aren't we, before the end of January, and that probably will answer that question. But he is striking me now as the Kwesi Appiah that I thought we had a few years ago when he was on loan, when we were in League Two. That sort of striker. He's been playing more that way, more aggressively, more of an irritant to opposition like he was, and it's great to see. Was his goal your favourite of the three? Let's talk about them now. There were three fantastic goals. Was it the best?
No, the best goal for me was Hartigan's goal, just because of the fact of the move was The funny thing was, right, the move was really easy. It was like a training ground goal, but in a match environment. The ball down alive from Paul Kalambaye. Kwesi gets into the area, holds it up very well, gets his head up. But the great thing is that the biggest frustration I've got about Hartigan sometimes is that he can pass the ball around for fun. He knocked 5-yard, 10-yard, 20-yard passes. But actually, he's got such a great right foot on him that actually you want him to get into the area or get onto the edge of the area. And the good thing this time was that he sort of followed the pass. He followed the pass in, and in the end, Kwesi's ball was just literally into his stride. And it was he didn't shoot; he just passed it into the net. And I think for me, it's a favourite goal just because of how simple it is. But actually, that takes a lot to do. And I think the second goal for me was the best one.
Anyone else in the team be able to finish that way? I'm just thinking, Pinnock can strike a ball, Wordsworth can strike a ball. We've seen this recently. In that situation, would they look to place that, or would they look to put their foot through it?
I think anyone else puts their foot through it. But I think Hartigan's so confident of his passing ability that why shoot? Just pass. It really is just such an excellent.
You're channeling Mialadi there.
No, but it is, and the thing is, I said to you after Charlton game that I was really worried that Andy Hartigan is absolute no point in being on the pitch if you're not going to use him. If you don't pass to him, he doesn't tackle. He's not really, he's not one that's going to go and get the ball. He needs to get the ball given to him, and then do what he's good at. So it's nice now that in a way we've found a formation or a way of playing that actually means that he gets the ball. Because if he gets the ball, he's gonna. Be honest with you, as he gets older, because let's forget, he's still only 18 now, isn't he? He's still a baby in terms of football terms. So if he's doing that now, when he finally understands what his body can do and what the improvements you can actually do, he's going to be a hell of a player. So I'm just enjoying it at the moment, seeing a player that I think will play I wouldn't be surprised to see at a championship level easily in time. It
is one thing. I want to get back to the goals, but you mentioned about Hartigan not tackling, what have you. It was one other thing I picked up from Saturday was we've always said all season, aren't we, that we're a very nice team. And we've upped the intensity, we've upped the tempo and the pressing and what have you, but we're still quite, I don't want to say lightweight, that seems the wrong word, it seems an unfair word, but we've got players that do tend to get a little bit, not bullied as in terms of bullied out of the game, but in one-on-one situations or shoulder to shoulders, do you know what I mean? We often come off the worst, and I think when you're bottom of the table, there are going to be days where we're going to need people that are just going to scrap. That's maybe something we haven't addressed either so far in the transfer window either.
No, I agree. And, I'm really, at the moment, Wally Downs has taken on Neil Ardley's team, basically. That's, the only changes he's had, really, is that Wally's gone into the academy and gone into youth players with, Alfie Egan, Paul Canambai, Will's already there, but he's sort of he's quite happy to trust that. But I think that's also due to the situation of injuries. It's really, I kept moaning. I still will moan. The amount of injuries we're getting this season is ridiculous. I think if you add up, at the end of the season, I reckon if you add the amount of weeks we've lost with players, I think it'll be heavy. But the only reason we're not really concentrating too much on that is because we're winning without those players. But I think it's just a case at the moment where I'm looking forward to Waddy bringing in his type of player, which I think would be very similar to how he plays. I think he likes players that like to be bitty, get their foot in, work hard, and also have technical ability. So I'm looking forward to the players that he brings in. But he's showing at the moment the players he's got at his disposal, he's able to get quite a lot out of them. So there's some encouraging signs already.
And when you say that, actually, that does link us nicely back to the goals, because you're talking about getting more out of certain players. Last week, I did say on the podcast, Mitch Pinnock, Andy Bartram, not enough end product. And then lo and behold, Pinnock plays the ball into Bartram, who turns and shoots and scores. So they, at that point, they could have done their hand over the mouth gesture that all the cool players are doing right now, just to stop anyone watching on TV being able to work out what they're saying, because we really care that much. But yeah, fair play. It looked like a little bit of a training ground routine, a little bit, wasn't it? Throw in, back to him, first time, low cross, turn and shot. The technique from Barch is outstanding, really, isn't it?
It's excellent, but you weren't wrong in what you were saying. The fact is, the end product wasn't good enough. Bartram wasn't getting enough goals or even assists, so you weren't wrong in what you were saying. But what I was saying about Pinnock the other week was that actually, if you noticed that when the ball was on the wide area, or he was getting closer to, so rather than being out wide, he actually was on the edge of the area, or he was more central, so actually he could be more effective. Bartram's goal doesn't come from him being wide. Bartram's goal comes from the fact that he joins in and gets into the area. It's a simple thing, but you can't score unless you either shoot or get into areas where you can be effective. So Bartram, for the main fact of being in the penalty area, has more chance of scoring. So the skill is great. If you see it first of all, you think great, good goal. But if you actually slow it down a little bit, the touch, and then knock into the top corner, excellent goal. And we need more of that. We need our wingers that, if we do have the ball in the box on the opposite side, then our wingers should be busting a gut to get in the area. And it looks like Wally's now trying to start influencing that a little bit.
That's one thing that Wally's done. Is it fair to suggest that another thing that has changed since Wally's come in is our luck. Because, what is it now? Three wins from the last 5 in all competitions.
Yeah.
But a win against Plymouth, thank you very much. The Plymouth centre-half, thank you very much. Absolutely messes up the clearance, lets Pinnock in for a good finish. And then Blackpool, I know we had this conversation last week and people disagreed with me. Blackpool, all the chances in our game, hit the woodwork. Tom King had to make a couple of good saves, fortunate. Fleetwood, we played on the break. That's what we tried to do, and it paid off, but we still conceded the majority of the shots on goal. Our goalkeeper, who we haven't touched on yet, had a very, very good game, had saves to make, and we had, four shots on target? And 3 of them have gone in. So maybe on another day, maybe under Neil Ardley, maybe Bristol Rovers away, for example, where we start the game really well. Kwesi has a shot from 25 yards, it hits the inside of the post and bounces out. And then they get a corner that the goalkeeper has a fumble and we're 1-0 down. Under Wally, it seems to be Kwesi's shot will hit the post and go in, and at the other end, the goalkeeper will fumble the corner, and yet somehow it will come off his knee and bounce to safety.
Yeah, hey, look, luck plays an awful lot in football. You know, in the early part of the season, we started off really well, didn't we? Then we got we were a bit unlucky with decisions against Coventry and Sunderland, and sometimes though, when you're feeling sorry for yourself, sometimes you just feel you're unlucky. You know, so you don't get to be in bottom of the league through luck. But you tend to find that teams that play with a bit more confidence and, as Waddy's said before, playing the front foot, I suppose in a way, sometimes because you're pushing the game a little bit and you're getting chances, then sometimes your luck does come your way. Yeah, I suppose you're right. We have had some fortunate moments, but the Blackpool game was quite a big game for me because I felt that was probably potentially a game early in the season we'd have lost. You know, character-wise, we might really have crumbled. But I think Waddy's added a little bit of resilience into this team of, you know, making sure you stay in games. So Blackpool wasn't a game that we by any chance looked like winning, but equally the point is quite a valuable point in the end of it. So I think we are. I don't think it's all about luck, but sometimes when you're a bit more on the front foot and a bit braver and a bit more, confidence, sometimes your luck happens to get a bit better.
What do you think of the new goalkeeper, Aaron Ramsdale?
Yeah, like him. Seb Brown lookalike, isn't he, and stuff like that.
There is quite a scary likeness. There was one photo in particular after the game where I actually thought I double took because I was like, that's Seb. That really is Seb. But he seems similar, not only in sort of looks, but also a little bit of temperament. The way he came across in an interview, I saw a post-match interview, just his demeanour seemed like a really switched-on guy, really nice guy like Seb is. So I think he'll be a good fit.
Yeah, and do you know what? Was he 20 years old? It takes quite a lot, right, to come out of, let's be fair, at Bournemouth, he was in his own little bubble, Premiership club, training facilities, not playing matches really, probably playing Premier League 2, probably football. But he literally travelled up with the team to the away game in a cup, or third round of the cup, travelled up, didn't really know his teammates, probably didn't have one training session at most, probably. And then went into a game like that, and actually, do you know what? Did really well. And it was funny because on his iFollow interview, he was saying that actually in a hotel room, he was on the website, literally revising who his centre-halves were and the players were. And he said that he knew their names, but then they all said they had nicknames. So you had to try and work out their nicknames against their full names of who players. So obviously he knew who was in front of him. Hey, look, good luck to him because if you can find the player profiles on the website, well, he's done very well anyway. So he's obviously a switched-on lad anyway. But I like him. He looks like he's a very confident character, some good saves. You expect him to be a good shot stopper because goalkeepers are. You know, if he's at a Premiership team, then there's a reason for that. Hey, look, I'm hoping it's a win-win. I'm hoping it's a case that he gets the experience he needs. He certainly looks like a character to me that will be loved by the fans in terms of he's already sort of been on Twitter and interacting with fans. Got to be careful with that, of course, in this day and age. But I sense he's going to be a goalkeeper that's going to be loved by the fans. And if he, George Long, for all the fact he was a good goalkeeper, he actually interacted well with the fans. And maybe Tom King, but to be fair to him, didn't get a great chance to do that. But I think it's a good loan, and I'm excited to see what more he brings.
What's happened with Tom King?
He's gone back to Millwall.
I know he's gone back to Millwall. Tom King has told us.
Apparently.
No. Tom King has confirmed that he is no longer at AFC Wimbledon, and Millwall have said
That's
they're
correct.
recruiting, recalling all their loans, and as just a silence from the club, it's a bit weird. Am I to read anything into these rumours that I've been hearing about some behind the scenes awkwardness with Mr. King and perhaps some unhappy people behind the scenes? I don't know why it would be that way.
No, I don't. Hey, look, the thing was, he got dropped, didn't he? I'm trying to think now. He got dropped, mid-September, something like that?
Wasn't it after the Scunthorpe game? So that was mid-September. So before,
feels like that, doesn't it?
It was around that time, or Accrington away might have been the first time that you didn't play, I think, possibly.
Yeah, I think, with Tom King, I think he's a larger-than-life character. So I think from what you hear on the grapevine, and lately this is on the grapevine, that he's a big personality, says what he thinks, doesn't really care what he ruffles feathers. Hey, goalkeepers are a strange bunch. They're either very quiet or they're very extrovert, as we can see in our goalkeeper, as Ashley Bays. But my personal experience of Tom King was, I don't know if I told you a story, but I was literally from one home game, car comes, I had a window open in New Malden, just where the roundabout is near Marks and Spencer's, and literally car comes steaming up. And
Stop. What are you on about?
I was in the car.
Yeah, where?
In New Malden, near Marks and Spencer's,
where?
near the A3 roundabout.
No, that's Tolworth.
Oh, that's close to it. Is it not New Malden? Oh, it's Tolworth, isn't it? Oh, yeah, of course it's Tolworth. That place. I'm never good with locations. Anyway, we were there, and literally a massive Range Rover pulls up on the side of us, and I'm thinking, oh, great, who's this? And it's Tom King, obviously he's seen him on Wimbledon top. And literally come right next to us, and they said, oh, mate, and that's a massive smile. And I'm thinking, you're not even playing at the moment, mate. You probably it literally just after him dropped, and he still looked like he was happy as Larry. And I was thinking, what a nutcase. But yeah, that was my little interaction.
You do,
with Mr.
You do attract them, to be fair.
Yeah, but just come across a bit of a nutcase. But then that's for goalkeepers. But hey, look, for the South London Press, has got an interview with Neil Harris this week, basically saying that. Well, he's basically alluded to the fact that before, they were looking at a new goalkeeper. Wimbledon were looking at a new goalkeeper to replace Tom King before Waddy joined. So, and I think it also said that Ashley Bays, this was one of the goalkeepers that Ashley Bays had highlighted as trying to get. And for whatever reason, Bournemouth probably didn't want to let him go early on. So it looks like we probably made our mind up quite early on that he was to be replaced in the window, which would have been a Neil Hardy decision. So Mill don't look too happy. Neil Harris doesn't really, if you read between the lines, he's probably not happy that he didn't play as many games as he thought he would. So let's hope we're not going back to Millwall for Tom Elliott in this transfer window, because I don't think we'll get him.
2 questions about this Tom King thing, right? Number one, this Tolworth roundabout that you were at, is it closer to Portsmouth or Plymouth?
I don't know. It's probably Pompey, but then Plymouth's not that far away from Pompey.
That's what. Yeah, you can see where I was going with that one. Second one, with Tom King, when he parked up next to you, did you get a selfie with your son with him?
No, Thomas would have been in the back of the car, but this was going back to probably November. So Thomas was probably only about 3 or 4 months old, and he hasn't got a favourite yet. He hasn't got a favourite, but give him time. I'm sure Lyle Taylor will be his favourite.
Of course he will be. He is your son after all.
Well, to be fair, that's the first footballer Thomas ever met was Lyle Taylor.
This is actually true. We were actually going to record the interview. So this is an exclusive, everyone. We were going to record the interview at Stu's house, but Lyle walked into the Lyle room that Stu has and he levelled with us. He was really scared. Yeah, that was a bit awkward. But of course, who is your favourite Wimbledon player of all time, by the way? Because we said mine earlier. I genuinely don't think Lyle is your number one favourite.
No. My first ever favourite, I think he still is Hans Seegers was my favourite. He's the one. He's actually the person that got me going back to Wimbledon for a second time. When I first went to my first game was back at Plough Lane, Arsenal.
When you first went to your first game?
Yes, sorry, yeah. My first game at Wimbledon was Plough Lane, 1990, when we beat Arsenal 1-0 when Bobby Gould not famously, but he dropped literally all the top. He dropped, I think it was some sort of thing that went on in the training ground. He dropped about 4 or 5 players. Mickey Bennett on his debut scored the winner. But Hans Seegers he was a nutcase. So we think about Ashley Bays now as being a lunatic. He had nothing on Hans Seegers. So he was one that would literally, when you scored a goal, he would hang off the crossbar. And he was just not all there, really. He was a nutty Dutchman. And he was the one that made me go back. I was a goalkeeper for my school team, and I just loved the fact that he was an absolute fruitcake. So, I think Seegers would always be my favourite, which is why I was disappointed, obviously, the stories that come out many years after. But also, he also probably saved me as well, because he thankfully let in the goal for Graham Stewart, where for Everton, Goodison, because if he hadn't let a goal in, I don't know how we'd have got out that ground in one piece.
You wouldn't be doing a podcast now, I'll tell you that much.
Scariest atmosphere, the most scariest atmosphere I've ever been at was Goodison that day when they were 2-0 down.
I have one more question about Tom King. Is his hair, when you met him, was his hair better or not as good as Ben Purington? And what did we think of Ben Purington's hair this week?
Well, it's always immaculate, isn't it? No, Tom King's hair was... Hey, look, he's a goalkeeper, so he loves his look, does he? So it's very slick. I would probably say it was probably better than Ben Purington's. Ben Purington's hair this week, I think just average, really.
Out of 10?
5.
I was going to go 6. I mean, it's still not much better, but hey.
Are we going to have some sort of like campaign now for Ben Purington to get like a man bun or something, like a George Frank?
No, do you know who from Fraser Franks? I was seeing.
Yeah,
I was watching,
he's aged, isn't he?
He has, isn't he? Like I was watching Fraser Franks play against Leicester on the weekend, and I thought that's a different person from the fresh-faced youngster we had making his debut against Crawley in the conference. Looked like he wouldn't say boo to a goose, and then he might not have made his debut against
with as well.
Ed Harris.
Wasn't it? That's right, because Lorraine, my wife, remembers that very much. And when we watched she was sort of moaning that we were watching the Newport Leicester game, and then they'd done a Newport team, and Fraser Franks. Oh, Fraser Franks, I remember him. And then she went, "Oh, he's aged." In other words, he looks old.
Well, it's scary how long ago that is. That's like a good 7, 8. 8 years ago. Wow, blimey, from that Crawley, that famous Crawley game.
How old is he then? So he must be. He can't be in his 30s yet, can he?
I wouldn't have thought so. Late 20s.
Wow, he's had a rough life. I know he's been at Luton for a little while.
Newport, Newport does it to you. Newport is
Luton's enough to make you feel old, isn't it?
You know, say Everton being the scariest atmosphere you've ever been in. The scariest atmosphere I've been in was Newport, and that was just walking around the town for a couple of hours before the game. What the hell? What has happened? What happened there? Like, did they have like a nuclear war and they just forgot the place existed?
We got there early, didn't we? For one game, we got the coach there. We thought, we're going to Newport Town Centre to see a nice pub or something. He was trying to find a pub that wasn't basically boarded up.
He was trying to find something. He was trying to find anything. Even the river had dried up. It'd given up. The whole place had given up. And then maybe it was 4-1. Anyway, moving on. FA Cup thoughts. We mentioned the Newport game there. A few things I've not been happy about this weekend. Aside from the fact, the draw. Well, let's start with the draw then. 9:45 in the evening. What's that about? I was really not happy with this. I was so tired yesterday. It was first day back at work. You know, life of a teacher, Stu. Don't give me this 3 weeks off. That's nonsense. It equates to about 2.5. But
when's your half term due? About 3 weeks.
So 6 weeks. 6 weeks this half term.
There you go. 6 weeks. That's hard. That's hard.
Hey, look. At any point over the next 6 weeks, Stu, you could take a holiday. But we don't get that option. We have to take it when it is given to us, you see. It's discrimination. But anyway, it's not the point. 10 o'clock in the evening, the draws. I'd given up. I really didn't care. The fact that the draw underwhelmed me, which I know people are going to say is us being spoiled, it underwhelmed me because we played them already at Kingsmeadow this season. So really what I always want from the FA Cup draw is something different. And so for that reason, actually, Haringey and Halifax were great draws, because they were different and new. But Fleetwood away was boring rubbish, done it so many times. And West Ham, hey, look, it's actually a decent draw. Premier League side at home is always a decent draw. It's got a chance of being on TV, of course it is. You'll have to forgive me for being underwhelmed, as I say, for 2 reasons. One, we've already played them at home this season. And 2, it was late and I was tired.
Yeah, the lateness of the draw is just ridiculous. Like, you know, I couldn't be bothered to sit through a Liverpool Wolves game, so I didn't. I'd watch something
Oh
else.
my God, Stu, this is how bad it was. I started watching 1997 WCW Nitro instead. For the wrestling fans out there, you will understand how bad Wolves Liverpool must have been for me to do that.
Well, I was obviously keeping up to date on our WhatsApp group for the podcast, so I was asked. It was quite funny because I think the draw was so late. I think we'd all said who we'd like, and I think we'd named every team that was left in the draw. It was that long, so it was like I was keeping up to date with that. But yeah, it was just such a stupid time to have it. I know what you mean. You know, yes, we have played West Ham before. I suppose I was looking at it from a purely financial. I suppose I went away from the glory of the FA Cup, but for me, fourth round, you really want to make sure you get a game that has potential of a TV game. If it's going to be at home, get a decent club that's going to sell out. You know, we'd probably do well financially out of it, because at the moment it really is about counting up the money. So if we think about now playing West Ham, if we do, I think if we don't get a TV game, I think you're probably looking at we probably made close to $500,000 out of this FA Cup run, which is probably a quarter of our budget, our wage budget for the year. So I suppose for me now, the objective has been done. We've made the money. It'd be nice to have 11 men again against West Ham. Let's have a go. You know, I'm not saying we're going to beat them, but it's not a game that I don't think is winnable.
I have to process that. I don't think it's not a game that's winnable.
Yeah, no, I was thinking that I said that.
So
I knew you probably.
So you
it's a game. It's a winnable game. Put it that way. It's a winnable game. We know all about it. Let's just make sure Ron McDonald doesn't go anywhere near the Mexican. I think that game would be better for it. I think we were better for that. For playing West Ham originally already, it's not as if we don't know what to expect.
But
you know,
I get that. But then can you not say or argue that's going to be the same for them? They're not going to be stepping into the unknown and unfamiliar surroundings like they might have been.
But I don't think it rattled them that much last time. You know, I was there most of the time. You know, early on, and I didn't for 1 minute think it rattled them. Kings Meadow isn't really that intimidating, really. I don't tend to think it's not
at all.
West. Do you know what I mean? So I don't think the surroundings really rattled them. I think for us, we're getting more out of it. I think the fact we played already. You know, we played amongst these last time, and actually for 60 minutes or so for that game, we held our own, didn't we? So I think it's obviously different now under Wally. He's got the West Ham connection, that sort of thing. I think it's a decent game. If we can get a TV appearance out of it and just get a little bit extra money, I'm not too sure how it'll work. Whether any of this money will go into the January window, whether we can find any money that we can obviously. I don't know. You know, we thought we've got $200,000 coming to this game. Can we somehow find out now and then recuperate it for the FA Cup game? But if it means that we can start using it to rebuild the squad, then this FA Cup run has been an absolute godsend.
Other things in the FA Cup this weekend that bugged me: too many varied kickoff times, international broadcasters, I believe. There's a little bit of a caveat here, because when I looked at the Sunday fixtures, the Sunday 2:00 fixtures, there was actually a lot of teams that I think were moved because of police reasons. So Sheffield Wednesday and Sheffield United were both drawn at home, so they have to play on separate days. Fulham, Chelsea, QPR all played at home, so they'd have to play on separate days. What bugged me about that was the fact that QPR and Fulham could both play at home at 2:00 on the Sunday. I'm sure they could have both played at home at 3 p.m. on the Saturday, and then Chelsea could have been the ones that moved to the Sunday, couldn't they? But no, it's Chelsea. I'm gonna get. You can hear me getting wound up now, Stu, because it's just reminded me of sodding Chelsea, and I'm trying not to swear. Oh, and their FA Cup draws. Oh my God, how they have got to be fixing this. This is ridiculous now. Every single blooming time there is an FA Cup draw, Chelsea will come out at home and they will get a League One or a Championship team at Stamford Bridge. This cannot. How? It doesn't help that I hate Chelsea. I hate them. I actually hate them more than Watford. And to be honest with you, There's not much really between Milton Keynes and Chelsea in my levels of hatred. Chelsea has been a lifelong hatred. I hate them. They are a horrible club and somewhat racist. So no time for them whatsoever. How do they always get these draws? Is it just me? It clearly is just me, isn't it?
Probably. It must be the old warm balls, they used to say, the draws, didn't they, where the old balls were a bit warmer. I don't know if there's any truth in that.
Thanks for that soundbite. That we'll be revisiting that one in future episodes.
I don't know. Do you know what? Yeah, the FA Cup. It frustrates me. Like, what annoys me about this current age is that the FA Cup. Fans from across Europe, America, and stuff love the FA Cup. Why they love the FA Cup? Because it's the greatest cup competition in the world, where you can be pitted against anybody. We could go up against Liverpool, against Man United. Cup upsets, but I think also the beauty of it was the fact that it was all done on one afternoon. Whereas you're right, now it's all being done. I used to love Match of the Day on third round of the FA Cup because you know what, you'd be watching it for a couple of hours.
They'd go on for hours, wouldn't
it? But you love it because you get all the games and all the potential cup upset. So the Newport Leicester would have been on Saturday. So yeah, okay. From a Wimbledon point of view, yeah, maybe we wouldn't get the TV revenue that we've been lucky enough to get throughout the years. But it's just about tradition, and I think when you keep mucking around and when you start knocking the draw to like 10 o'clock at night, and was that for foreign viewers? I don't know what the reason was. It seems an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, somebody suggested it was because they suddenly decided they wanted to have all the games played before they did the draw. I'm calling bullshit on that one because you're always going to get either or ties because of replays and what have you. It's international broadcasters. Now, I cannot imagine which country in the world they are targeting with that one. It's not going to be America particularly, is it? They're in their working day at that time, aren't they? Maybe on the East Coast they might just be coming to an end, but yeah, awful decision.
Yeah, about 5 o'clock would it have been and stuff like that. But I know the FA want to try and get more money and stuff, but you get to a stage where when does too much money? When does it become a case when actually, Joe, what? No matter how much more money you get, it makes no real difference. What I mean by that is, does these top clubs need an extra 500,000? What they don't even notice that. It's like the Premiership now. Interestingly, I noticed that a lot of Premiership teams like your Tottenham, your Man Cities now are starting to really hammer teams. There is a massive difference, 7-0 and stuff like that. But the money, the Premiership money is just astronomical, and it's causing a massive difference between the leagues. And I just think to myself, the FA, just don't muck around a competition. Keep it. The reason people fell in love with it was because of the whole Saturday 3 o'clock kickoff, all that sort of stuff. And I feel sorry for sometimes, my children and stuff who are not going to really experience that. It's just money. It's just a sellout for money sometimes, which is just frustrating.
Something else about modern football, perhaps as well. VAR. Now, I'm saying this. There is an FA Cup, a League Cup semi-final first leg going on, and I believe Tottenham have just gone 1-0 up against Chelsea. And yes, if you're asking me, yes, I will pick Tottenham over Chelsea every single time. And it's a penalty that Harry Kane scored because VAR has given it. Because VAR, apparently there's been an offside decision that said Kane was offside before he was fouled, but VAR said no, he was onside, so the penalty is given. That said, although it's benefited me personally there because I don't like Chelsea, I may have mentioned, VAR, I don't want it. I really don't want it. I always said, so goal line technology, and there was a big thing about goal line technology for ages, and I was dead against it. Not because in principle I think there was anything wrong with it, and I think the system for goal line technology works really well. It's exactly what it should be. It's so easy. If the whole ball crosses the line, the referee gets told straight away, takes all the argument out of it, doesn't it? And no one can dispute it. However, my concern with it and why I was against it was because, as with everything in life and society, once you give an inch, people take a mile. And once it was in place in one element, technology, then, it took no time at all for everyone to go, where else can we put it in? And there was a great point made by Stephen Warnock on 606, who I was going to talk more about. We won't have time now, but he made a great argument. He was just like, how many decisions do referees actually get? Like these big decisions they say always get wrong. You need technology to sort them out. How many do they realistically get wrong? Not very many. And I just think just taking away an element of the game by relying on technology all the time. All you're doing is shifting a decision. If a referee's not sure, he's just shifting a decision to somebody else. And we saw again, VAR decisions on the weekend that were matters of interpretation, even for the people. Purple immediately makes me think of Barney the dinosaur. Of the people watching on the screen. So Do we really need it? No. It just seems to be, again, it seems to me to be another thing of the big clubs whinging and getting their way.
Well, yeah, I don't know if it's a big club. I think it's technology. I think, technology moves on so quickly, doesn't it? I think they just feel you need to get involved. You're right. Goal line technology, I love. I think I can make it more exciting, though. Like, like the referee gets, like, doesn't he, like, get a watch vibrates on his arm or something? Like when the goal goes in or something. Is that right? It gets like a vibration or something. Yeah. It'd be funny if it had all been tied up to people's seats when there's a goal. The seat vibrates. That'd be quite funny. But yeah, that's just me being humorous. Yeah, that works.
Really?
Yeah. No, but you know what? When a goal goes in, all of a sudden one's seat gets vibrated. I don't know, home fans or whatever. That's me being sick. But yeah, that works.
I'm sorry. Stu, you're all right. Seriously, do you need a break?
My brain is, can't you? It's all about the razzmatazz of the game, isn't it? It's all the razzmatazz, isn't it? But yeah, the VAR. What game was it where they gave a penalty and then they stopped it just before he was about to run up because it was offside?
Burnley.
Was that the Villa game? Was it? I think
Burnley. You get your Claret and Blues, yeah.
But that's funny as anything, though, isn't it? It's like, it took him that. It always looked like the referee was embarrassed to go, sorry, mate, you can't take it.
But imagine if he had been a split second later and he had taken it and scored.
I'm in two minds. Football's always been about, the decisions evening themselves up. And when you've been on the end of a really, really bad decision and you think technology could have helped you, if you're the football fan, that's been aggrieved, you want anything to help, don't you? But it's how long it takes. That's my argument, like they carry on the game and then you're like, well, because on commentary, I think during the World Cup when they were doing it, they would go, that decision's being reviewed, but they're still playing. So you're thinking, 1 second, does that mean anything on the pitch? Because they're going to bring it back in a minute. And then you're thinking, well, how do you know when they reviewed it? Do you know what I mean? There's so many sort of like unanswered questions. So that, if you're at a game, we're lucky for the VAR because we're actually got a commentator who has an idea what's going on. But if you're a fan at a game, you've got no idea what's going on. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I can see why they bought it in. I don't think it works, and I don't think it probably ever will. Do I think it'll ever get taken away? No, I think it'll always be around VAR. I think it will just get worse and worse.
The big problem as well, I think I've said the big problem every time I talk about it. Must be about 800 big problems. But for the weekend, in the FA Cup, it was only available at certain stadiums, so basically the Premier League stadiums. Again, that is wholly unfair. Grimsby, away at Palace, had a player sent off based on a VAR decision. He was given a booking, they reviewed it and said, no, it should be more than a booking, it should be a red card. If the game had been played at Blundell Park, and that had happened, no VAR, then the defender would have got the booking and they'd have just carried on whatsoever. So it's also unfair because teams that don't have access to VAR in the same competition do not get the benefit of it. So they're basically, from as much as you can in terms of the constraints of the rules of the game, I think they have to be the same across the board. Obviously, you've got variations that you can't control. The quality of the pitches, for example, the atmosphere in a stadium, for example. But in terms of the rules of the game, surely they have to be the same for every single side.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the things that when I said that, I was like, that doesn't really make sense. But yeah, but I suppose with Palace, I suppose the only agreements I got about Grimsby was the fact that it helped Palace. If it had been that Palace got a player sent off that helped Grimsby, then we're all for it.
Hey, if they'd have reviewed Ched Evans diving, Fleetwood wouldn't have got a penalty. The flip side to that, Stu, is we might not have never ever been promoted, possibly because Accrington Stanley wouldn't have had a goal. Who knows? Disallowed, or Barry Fuller might have got sent off. Who knows? These things.
The funniest moment in football. I've never laughed so much with Accrington. Oh, I still laugh now when the referee blew up. Who blows up when the ball's just about to go into the net? It's comical.
I just think it's incredible that there are certain things in football that I reckon fans can go a lifetime without seeing. But at Wimbledon, we've seen that happen twice because it happened against Wrexham in the FA Cup back in '98, I want to say. But
do you remember, though, when we were at the Accrington game, we were standing next to each other. We both laughed, didn't we? We couldn't stop laughing because
I was laughing because what happened was every single one of our players immediately realised what had happened and they bolted off the pitch. I've never seen us leave the pitch so quickly. They were like, we're not getting involved in this. We're off. As all the Accrington players
I just couldn't stop laughing because I just thought, that's really bad. You don't know, sometimes you go, no, never a penalty, but you know it's a penalty. That you just knew that you basically that can't happen. The referee's just basically shown that he's a Wimbledon fan.
careful, that could be we get in enough trouble with what we say on this podcast without getting all libelous. Moving on quickly.
Allegedly, like Wimbledon.
There we go. Well done. Yeah, allegedly. Well done. Right, we are running late.
That's sounding great.
It's time for Wally with a trolley, which is a little bit ad hoc because I've not written the questions down, but I have them all in my mind. So Wally's gone shopping this week, Stu. Which supermarket do you believe he's gone to? He's gone to Aldi. He has purchased Wimbledon goal scorers from the last time we made it through to the fourth round of the FA Cup. And it's not a maths sort of numbers question to start with, Stu. Very simply, this week, I want to ask you, when we last got to the fourth round of the FA Cup, we won in the third round. Then, of course, we then won in the fourth round. In those victories, in those 2 rounds, not just the victories, in the entirety of all the games played in those 2 rounds, because there were replays, who were all of our goal scorers? So to help you out, we had a replay victory away at Notts County after a 2-2 draw. And then we had a replay victory at home to Middlesbrough after a 0-0 draw. Who can you remember the scores and the scorers from those games?
The Notts County game I was at, because wasn't that the year when it got called off because of fog that came in from the river? If I remember properly. It
was abandoned, then it was postponed, and then the third time of asking it got played.
I think Dean Blackwell scored in the game that got abandoned, if I remember properly, because we all... Well, I think he said it was a 25-yarder as well. Well, I don't think it was. Oh, crikey. Notts County... That would be going back to probably Dean Holsworth days, I would have thought.
Oh, if you could see my face right now.
So you want to know the goal scorers? So you said it was 18 years ago, so that's 2001. So that would have been... Oh, crikey. That would have been... No, it would have been Dean Holsworth, would it? Of course it would have been. Wow, I'm trying to think now. I don't really know.
Do you want me to give you a little bit?
Please, I'm struggling.
Because it was fairly... In fairness, the way I asked the question probably wasn't the best. So, 2 games against Notts County. Can you remember just the score lines from those games? The first game at Selhurst Park and then the replay. Can you remember the score lines?
No. I'm thinking it was goalless at home.
No.
1-1?
Nope.
Oh, 2-2.
2-2, yes.
There we go, Desmond. Cool. I can't think it would have been in... I'm trying to think now, 2000... So that would have been Championship Day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, who do we have? So, Shipperley?
Nope.
David Connolly?
Season before him.
Oh, great.
I'll tell you, okay.
Cool, I'm going to get it, yes.
There's one player who scored in the 2-2 draw that you really should know because he has a strong link. There we go. 30-yarder into the top corner. Then the second goal was scored by a Norwegian winger.
Martin Anderson?
Not that one.
Who's the other winger? Anderson. Who is it? Well,
do you know what? I'm surprised. I thought you might get these. I am genuinely actually surprised. You're going to kick yourself when you hear these names.
Yeah, I'm trying to think now.
Do you know what? I've said Norwegian. He was Swedish. I do apologise.
Oh, Pedersen.
Not Pedersen. He was Norwegian.
Close, isn't it? Oh, crikey. I can't think. I don't really try and remember that team too much because, of course, it was all very close to when that rubbish happened.
It was all around that era. I have bizarrely crystal clear memories of this. So, Neil Ardley and Per Carlson.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Were the goal scorers.
Was he Swedish, was he?
Yes.
So we done quite well then, didn't we? So we had Norwegian, Swedish, and we picked up everyone from that sort of part of the world, didn't we?
Not everyone. I'm sure there was a few million people that still stayed in Scandinavia. But there was a Norwegian who then scored the winner away at Notts County, who was a very popular midfielder.
Trond Anderson then.
It was indeed Trond Anderson, right. And then Middlesbrough away at the Riverside Stadium, we got a 0-0 draw. Who scored our goals in our 3-1 replay victory?
That's something. It must be Shipley. We were saying Shipley wasn't in the team, didn't we?
No Shipley. I'll give you another clue. One of these players has already scored in the third round.
Ah, cool. So let's go through. It wouldn't be Per Carlson. Would it be Neil Ardley again?
It was Neil Ardley. This has really stumped you, isn't it?
You've made a tough one, haven't you, really? Yes.
I don't know, because I'll be honest with you, I've got ridiculously good memories of this cup run, because then we went away to Wickham and had those 2 cup ties with them, which was...
Well, I remember the penalty shootout. I remember the penalty shootout because Mark Wilson knocked it into orbit, didn't he?
Mark Williams did, yeah.
And that was the time when we were working in the club shop, and Mark Williams actually we got on quite well with, and I remember trying to avoid eye contact with him for weeks after that, because he was a friendly guy, but you didn't want to get on the wrong side of him.
No. Don't get an argument with Mark Williams.
Yeah, so it was like you didn't really want to make a really, you wanted to say a real like that ball's still travelling, but you didn't. But yeah, so I remember it for that. I can't remember. No, I can't remember the goal scorers off the top of my head at all.
No, okay. Well, the Middlesbrough win then. Neil Ardley scored a penalty. It went into extra time. Jason Ewell, and then how about this for a name? Jonathan Hunt were the other goal scorers. Those were the players that Wally put in his trolley this week. There was going to be more to this game. I think it's died a death. I think we should move on very, very quickly because we're rapidly running out of time.
I win.
I'm not sure how you got to that, but okay. So let's look ahead to Coventry City on the weekend. Very, very quickly, Stu, and it's just going to be a score prediction now because of time. They are 8th in League One. They are 7 points outside the playoffs. They're not getting the playoffs. The top 7 are in that fight for the top 6 places, so one of the top 7 will miss out. Coventry will not get the mix. Last week, they unfortunately lost 2-1 at Scunthorpe. Didn't help us out at all, but they were in good form before that. They've got Connor Chaplin and Johnson Clark-Harris, who both score goals. They're top scorers this season. Mark Robbins is still their manager, who's done a fine job there. He's actually a pretty decent boss. And obviously, you've referenced it earlier, 0-0 draw back in August. I think this is a winnable game.
Me too. I think we'll go there with a lot of confidence. Never know, we might be lucky enough to get a forward in this week. We might have Dylan Connolly as well available. I don't know that for definite, but I'm just thinking he may have a chance. I've got a feeling we're going to go there and win 2-1.
I think we're going to win as well. I can't believe I'm going to say this. This is death. This is always going to end in tears. I'm going to go similarly, Stu. No, we always seem to win 2-1 in the league, don't we? That's basically the only score we win games by. 1-0 or 2-1, so one of those. Updates from that will be on Twitter at 9YRS Podcast. But before I get to that, other things on Twitter this week are music quiz. If you recognise the song that started the show this week, you might have probably worked it out when you downloaded the episode and saw the title of this week's episode, but we recognise the song and the artist. Tweet us at 9YRS Podcast. Lots of responses last week from Gerondong at Style Dragon, Peter B at Justadon88, Mark Hendricks at Mark at CIFF, Matt Haylock at Matt Haylock, and Tezza at Terry Westgate all correctly said it was the Divine Comedy with National Express. Terry Westgate said it's a classic Britpop tune. Gerondong wishes us a happy new year. Matt Haylock says, Merry New Year from the club shop. Matt does a fine job in the shop currently. Very fine job, in fact. National Express by the Divine Comedy, a band loved by me and violently detested by my missus. But thank you very much for getting in touch. What else do we have to say? Oh, ladies. Ladies. What a victory for the ladies. We have left it to the very, very last knockings of the show this week. And we do apologise for that. We did talk about it, and we had Karen who is sort of the media person for the ladies on the Love Sport show on Sunday discussing it. We are hopefully going to be speaking to Chris Lyons. We first team manager as well. We're going to try and get an interview as well with Edie Kelly, the goalkeeper, aren't we, Stu? Very much looking forward to that about this. But however, it was a classic victory, a very, very good victory, 3-0 away at Hull City, who are 2 divisions above, I believe, one division above, but still away from home as well, and rewarded with a big tie. Bristol City, their women's team, who are in the Women's Super League. They are in the top flight of women's football. We've got a home draw against them to be played on Sunday the 3rd of February, which will be at Carshalton Athletics. So trying to get as many people down there as we can on that day. And I must just make sure I've got it right. But Katie Stanley was in the goals again, wasn't she, Stu, in this 3-0 victory?
I believe so.
As she tends to be this season, and is doing a fantastic job. Jordan Hosley-Atkins also on the score sheet for the ladies this weekend, and Georgia Heisman with the third. So absolutely fantastic. Ladies doing us proud once again into the fourth round. This Sunday they're away at Cambridge United in the league. But congratulations, ladies. Well done. And that is it for this week. As I've mentioned, Coventry updates Twitter at 9Wireless Podcast. AFC Women Business Club this week. Irish dancing with former Coventry City defender Phil Babb. And Kevin Boris will be on Love Sport Radio this Sunday. Stu, thank you very much for joining me this week.
No problem.
Alexa Bliss, who is actually my favourite Wimbledon player of all time. Bag first, milk last. We will speak to you again next week.